Welcome to the Side Action Podcast, the sports gambling show that covers everything in the world of sports betting from A through Z. We'll cover the four major sports, as well as anything and everything in between worth some action, and will increase the size of your bankroll. And here we go.
All right, welcome to the Side Action, episode 19 of season 7. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on X and on Instagram. Did it right?
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say you steal my thunder on this whole TikTok thing. We're gonna have a war over this. But I'm Coop. You can check me on Instagram at Dalton Cooper, on X at Mr. Grumpy Gills. Again, we are the Side Action Podcast. Make sure to like us on the socials and make sure to check out the TikTok, because I know, again, Wegsy, you love the TikTok. I get the emails that people are commenting on the TikToks. I hope you're getting after them.
Those Russian bots love us. They're huge in Asia and in Russia. Maybe a couple Latin American cuties here and there, but okay. I will not follow you. I'm sorry. I might look at your posts occasionally, but I will not follow you on that account. I don't want them to follow me too long. So
they don't like the shed. I figured you'd take them to the shed.
They probably love the shed. They love the shed. They love Club Dub. They love anything. They just want attention. That's all they want. Yeah. So. How about you? How was the drive back? How was the holiday with fam? You had the Cooper Christmas.
Yeah, well, not too bad. Yeah, we did 2 Christmases. We did the Cooper Christmas and then we did the Martell Christmas. So not too bad. Driving there, we caught a little bit of the snow and ice leaving, which wasn't hateful. Just maybe added 45 minutes or so to the drive. But once we got into basically past the Hard Rock, it wasn't too bad from that point forward. So listened to Indiana get absolutely just steamrolled on the radio the whole time, so that was fun. But yeah, no, Christmas went well. Not too bad. Linnea, obviously second. I guess first Christmas, but second time kind of being with everybody. It thought it went pretty well. Watched the women's volleyball championships. Yeah. So speaking of that, I should put that in Club Dub. So. But yeah, no, it's pretty good Christmas. What about you, Wegsy? I saw you guys finally got the tree put up. Your tree looked a little.
The tree is here. It's lovely. The kid finally came through. For those watching at home, yes, the kid did a great job with me. We got that up on Monday. What are you gonna do? Nice. But it'll be up for a couple weeks here, at least for the Wegs party. And it was lonely without the ornaments, and now it looks great. It really looks like a real festive occasion now. But it's been nice. I mean, a lot of family time. As you can see, I'm like part of the Manning cast with the quarter zip. I got 3 quarter zips this Christmas, which is good because my winter wardrobe is a little questionable after being in Hawaii. So I look in the closet, I'm like, oh, what do I got here? Nothing. So thanks, Mom, and my daughter, and Sophia gave me something. My Phil and Kate, my brother, and my sister-in-law. So. Keep them coming, quarter zips for everybody.
Yeah, you can take the boy out of Hawaii, but you can't take the Hawaii out of the boy.
That's right. Did get a little time at Four Shadows with Luke and Dave Strickland and Zach Rainmaker Suter as well.
Nice.
Watched some games. Of course, it was. We'll talk about that in a minute. A little disappointing. The playoffs, they weren't exactly close, as you alluded to. In fact, that Indiana game was technically the closest on the scoreboard, which is rough. So. Well, let's go right to the shed. I mean, you kind of maybe not led me into this, but I'll go first because I love my SMU Mustangs. Who let's just put it this way. Maybe it was just a young guy, Kevin Jennings, quarterback at SMU, he had a bit of a rough day. Coop, 3 interceptions in the first half, 2 were pick sixes. Hard to win a football game anywhere, let alone Happy Valley in that one. So Kevin Jennings, you're going to be great next year because he's only a sophomore. They may not make it back, guys. Like, this is a shot, and I'm happy they made it. But, wow, it was a rough one for Kevin. Welcome to the shed. Figure out not to throw to the other team.
Yeah, and it happened so quick, too. I mean, that game was over, like, in the first 3 drives of the game. It was just, And then once you, like, to your point, once you get them rolling in Happy Valley, it takes a Herculean effort to even get the ship right. So.
Yeah, congratulations, James Franklin, for being a top 10 team.
Finally.
And then my other person is Drew Lock. Much like Kevin Jennings, but he is a pro, use that term loosely. Drew Lock stinks. 2 pick sixes against Atlanta in the Giants loss. It made Michael Penix look good, even though Penix only threw for like 201 yards or something in the game. was a very easy first game for Michael Penix. But Drew Lock, welcome to the shed. I know that you got signed. Probably in some ways they paid more money to you, so they couldn't sign Saquon Barkley. So the Giants should be in the shed too. But get in the shed, Drew. I mean, you're god awful.
Yeah. Oh, fun question. Do you know where Drew Lock went to college? Trivia question of the week.
Missouri.
Nice. Well done.
Yes.
Look at you. Yeah. And also, I just wanted to
Yeah.
put the whole Drew Lock thing in the shed too, because he cost me my fantasy championship because I was playing against the Falcons defense, and that second touchdown is the nail in my coffin. So I lost by like 7 points, and that was
sorry, dude.
Yeah, that was tough. That's a tough pill to swallow when you get 20-something points against you on the defense, and then you had Jason Sanders, which we'll get to, the Dolphins in a little bit. But yeah, that just double whammy for me. So I'm with you.
Atlanta wasn't a great defense all year. I mean, what are you going to do? So.
No.
How about yourself? What do you got in the shed this week, Coop?
So this shed actually came from a loyal listener. We got this from Brandon. He's like, he came up to me during Christmas. He's like, I got somebody that you got to put in the shed. So we're gonna start with Erling Haaland, and I'm probably not saying that right, but he is a player for Manchester City. I know you probably don't follow Premier League too much, but they were basically like the Chiefs of the Premier League, like the last 18 months or so. They've won everything, right? So they play Arsenal back on September 22nd. He's like their best player. He's like their top goal scorer. They were playing Arsenal. They got a free kick. He scored on said free kick for a 2-2 draw. After the game, he goes up to the coach and told that coach of Arsenal to stay humble, which made big media news and in English, culture, if you will.
Yeah, right.
I was reading more about it after he told me, but since that moment in time, this man has only scored 2 goals in like a 10-game span. Yeah, he was leading the league, the golden boot, if you will, I think is what they call it. And yeah, they've just completely gone downhill. Manchester City's gone from first to like 8th in the standings. And I think staying humble, he's got to stay humble. It's really funny how irony has all come back. I had no idea this was going on until he kind of told me about it, and I started doing more research, but just fascinating. It's really fascinating. So
as a squad, they've been terrible. I mean, they just can't win. And Erling Haaland, where's he from? The Norse country?
I'm imagining he's Dutch if I had to guess. So he's got like blonde, slick back hair. He kind of looks like the young Igor from Rocky, maybe not as buff, if you will. So, but yeah, he's in the shed. He's had only 2 goals in that time span. And then I'm putting the Buccaneers in the shed, man. You go to Jerry's World, their defense laid a complete egg. Cooper Rush, I'm telling you right now, that team does not look any different with Cooper Rush than Dak Prescott.
He's played well the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
We had that argument last week. I'm telling you right now, Cooper Rush and Dak Prescott are basically the same quarterback. So I'm putting the Bucs in the shed. They had everything made. They had all the dysfunction going on in Atlanta. They were riding high, and then they just completely go to Jerry's World and shit the bed. So I'm putting the Bucs in the shed because I think they might have just cost themselves the playoffs, honestly. So
dude, I had them at plus 330 to win the division. I got at the beginning of the season. They're looking great.
Yep.
And obviously, the big thing about the Bucs in this game, you're not highlighting, it's not just losing in Jerry's World, which they hadn't won all year, but it's mostly they got big boyed on 2 plays. It was a touchdown pass that, Baker's doing his job, gets it right in the guy's hands, and the guy gets the ball ripped away from him in the end zone for a touch. And then the last drive of the game, sure, it was an interesting play. Baker made that flip to Rashad White. He's running, and the guy just ripped it from him for he's a game-winning fumble. I mean, are you trying to fight for the playoffs? The Cowboys had nothing to play for, so they play hard.
Yeah. Is Mike McCarthy going to keep his job? Are they gonna screw around and keep Mike McCarthy?
Do you believe that? Did you hear what Jerry said after the game? He said something along the lines of McCarthy. They don't even know that they're fighting for the Super Bowl, even though they have nothing to play for. I love that with Mike McCarthy. I'm like, are they going to keep this dude? They might, dude. They might call it a lost season for injuries and bring him back, which is, bet against the Cowboys again next year.
Yeah, I mean, Deron Bland being back has definitely made a difference on their defense. He's definitely
and Micah Parsons, right? He's not bad. Yeah.
So.
No, I don't disagree with the Cooper Rush. We'll see how he plays without CeeDee Lamb in the lineup this week as he's getting shut down. Yeah. But I hear you. He's played better. He looks better than Drew Lock, that's for sure.
Well, the bar's not set very high.
Club Dub. Yeah, who do you got in Club Dub here? I see one of them I like right away.
Yeah, so I'm putting Cameron Dicker in Club Dub. So I think we all learned a new rule last Thursday night when the Broncos and Chargers played. But made the first free kick in NFL history since 1975. Ironically enough, it was the Chargers who did the same feat in the 70s. But Yeah, I think it was 57-yarder, I believe. I think it was
Yeah,
the longest free kick in NFL history. So shout out to Cameron Dicker, right on cue. And then shout out to, like I said, we all learned a new rule. So that was pretty cool. I don't know if it was the difference in the game. It obviously helped keep momentum, them going into halftime, getting
it flipped points. Yeah, it flipped it for sure.
But yeah, like I said, I just thought that was a cool little moment there. And then I had Devon Achane for the Dolphins, 190 all-purpose yards. He had a touchdown. He had the game sealing like 40-yard touchdown or 50-yard touchdown run there at the end, which was really funny because that could swing some fantasy matchups because he could have gone down and they could have ran the clock out, but he decided to score from the 50-yard line instead. So
you think it might have affected the total on the game? It went over. Why don't you just lay down like everybody else? But no,
So shout out to Devon. The Dolphins, Linnea likes to remind me they're in the hunt. They're always in the hunt. Every time that screen comes up, we're watching the game. You can see the Dolphins. She goes, "Hey."
They have like an 11% chance or something. It's right there. The little lights bleeping right there. They got a shot. It's like the Bengals.
Yeah. The season's lost. I've been Dolph out for weeks, and I think it's so sad now they want to start playing, and I don't know. But yeah, Devon Achane, good game, career game for him. So shout out.
Yeah, he was good. Well, I'm going to go with we've already spoken about this. I should have got the ticket months ago. It's too late now. Jaden Daniels, we already knew he was going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. There was a couple of moments when Bo Nix kind of gave a little flash, but Daniels has had, wire to wire the best season. The 5 passing TDs against the Philadelphia defense, including 3 in the last quarter and a half, was incredible. 75 yards rushing in this game to win 36-33. That was a super exciting finish to that game. And I mean, he's been a stud. And I mean, obviously, we can go back to the debate of Williams over Jaden Daniels, but this is one of the things it incenses me to no end that the Bears have picked wrongly like every time when they have these scenarios. But I'm happy for Jaden. He's a stud. I'm happy for Washington. And come back to Club Dub, dude. You're the man. You're the man. You're gonna win the Rookie of the Year, and you'll also get some free bottle service for a while.
Yeah. No, I think in hindsight, I don't think it would matter what quarterback they took. I still think they'd be a dysfunctional mess just because they're just organization. They're just a dysfunctional mess. So, yeah. If hindsight, they probably should have traded that pick and just gotten more players, is what it looks like. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And then I would go with the running back Jeremiah Love for Notre Dame. He only had 98 yards rushing in this game, but the biggest carry of the game was, and we didn't talk about it too much, I guess, before last week. Their Indiana momentum situation. They get an interception. They're inside the red zone. Then they throw a pick at the 2-yard line. Yep. And then basically the next play, the dude goes for 98 yards to the house. So he had 108 yards, my correction, on 8 carries. But the 98-yarder just crushed the spirits of the Hoosiers. Yep. He had also 18 yards receiving. And every time I saw this guy touch the ball, he's just big boying people. He's just stiff-arming guys to the ground, running over him, looking like a guy on Sunday. So Jeremiah Love, welcome to Club Dub. Have yourself a day.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana was like the top scoring offense in college football going into that game, and would they score 17 points? So, and 7 of that's in garbage time, you could argue.
They scored 3 points until like the last 2 minutes, basically.
Yeah.
So. Well, good transition there. That's why he gets paid the big bucks, everybody. College picks. You had a good week, 3-1. All you had to do is take the favorites, but here you go.
Yeah, I know.
We already mentioned Notre Dame. 27-17. That score has nothing to do with. It was 27-3. This game's a whitewash. Yeah. Exciting for all the Notre Dame fans and singing and stuff like that. So it was a cool game. I watched that at Grambo's. Which was kind of fun. He's a big gamer. Oh, he was in the blue and the gold. They all that's on Notre Dame and stuff like that. So, and then we already mentioned that the 38-10 drubbing of SMU. Well, let's talk about this game. Texas and Clemson, probably the best game of the weekend for the playoff. It was back and forth most of the game until Clemson kind of couldn't hold serve, basically, and Texas ends up winning 38-24. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about this. Sarkisian made some interesting decisions in this game. He had like a couple times where he went for it on 4th down instead of kicking a field goal, or he just – it was really weird. Even though they won the game and it was fine, I kind of wonder if that factors in at all for your selection this week.
No, I mean, I'd much rather see them be aggressive because I think their best unit is their offense. So if
Yeah.
anything, I mean, maybe he's thinking, hey, I'd rather die with my best unit than rely on the defense, which they've been good at moments and they've been suspect at moments. So that's just, I mean, he is an offensive coach. So I think if he's gonna go down, I think he'd rather go down with his offense. That's just my
Yeah.
first glance or first thoughts of it, if anything.
Yeah. And then the last game was Ohio State, and they just kind of put a whooping on the Vols. 21 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
They kind of made it a game a little bit. The Vols got some points then, but then the second half again, 14 more points in the third, and this game was over 42-17.
Yeah.
So all the talk of the SEC that was talking shit about Indiana and SMU, you can quiet down because your Vols did not come to play against Ryan Day.
Yeah, I heard when I first got to Ohio, my mom let me know there was I don't know, some collusion going on in Columbus that like all of the touch tunes and all of the bars had been taken over because somebody had been playing Rocky Top nonstop in a couple of bars. So they literally had to turn their jukebox off. It was like a big news story in Columbus. It was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean the second half, the first drive, I think it was 17-10 or maybe 21-10 or 21-13.
21-10, yeah.
Yeah, and that was basically the game. Everybody knew it coming out. The second half, that first drive when Tennessee got the ball, if they scored, we would have had a game. But
yeah.
I think they went 3 and out, if I remember right. And that was see you later. That was all. But it looked like Ohio State had learned their lesson. Like, oh my God, we have NFL wide receivers. Maybe we should just eat them. Yeah.
Just run the football every time. Well, and I guess and overall for the weekend, the home field advantage is something, especially college football. And it was just the crowds were great and it fired up. And there were a few Indiana guys here and Vols there, but it was overwhelming.
We quickly forget that 19-year-olds going on the road and playing in crowds that are bigger than NFL stadiums might be an influence. Also, I think the biggest loser on the weekend was Indiana, just because I think next year if it came down to Indiana and Alabama again, and this obviously probably won't be those two teams, right? But something in those similar situations, I think Alabama's going to get the nod next time, or a team like Alabama will get the nod, even though they have 2 losses more.
Yeah, 2 or 3 losses, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, just it was not a good look for the suspect teams, if you will, of college football this past weekend. So
right. Well, speaking of suspect teams, good transition. We've got the quarterfinals this week, Coop. We've got Penn State, who is the 6th seed, against 3-seeded Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. That's on New Year's Eve at 6:30 p.m. Central. Bottom line is the seeding is, and we talked about this a little bit in the early preview, like. Should Boise really have been the 3 seed? I know they won their conference, but they're going to have to revisit this because Penn State is now an 11-point favorite in this game, 52-point total. Do you see this number? And I guess I should have double-checked the number if it came down at all. Do you see any buyback on Boise? Or do you think any reason to back Boise in this state, in this situation, or just keep rolling with the favorites?
No, I mean I don't see a reason to jump on board with Boise. I mean they're very one-dimensional on their offense. It's give the ball to Genty and go from there. So I don't see how Penn State or I guess how Boise State can keep Penn State off balance. From an offensive versus defensive standpoint, we just saw how good Penn State's defense can be. I mean they literally ended the game in the first quarter against SMU. So. And they played well against Oregon, even though they gave up 40-something points, but they still played well. Even, Dylan Gabriel's an NFL quarterback. Boise State has nothing near an NFL quarterback. I don't see how the physicality is going to match up well. I think the Lions are probably going to roll. And plus, for the first time, like you said, James Franklin gets a big win. I mean, I think they use that momentum to their advantage. So they kind of gets the monkey off their back, if you will.
Yeah, I mean he's going to roll. Maybe he rolls to the championship on this, but he definitely has an easier path than some.
Yeah, because Oregon got hosed in this whole playoff. They
really did. It was the 1 seed. Yeah, they did. Yeah. Okay, so the next game is on New Year's Day, the Peach Bowl, and that is going to be the 5th seed Texas against 4-seed Arizona State. Same kind of comments there. This is 12 noon Central. Again, Texas is the better team. They've been near number 1 almost a whole year, and now they're 13.5-point favorites in this one, 52-point total. I mean, you're only seeing Texas here. You've got it. They're 14, so I mean, 13.5. You take that number too, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest detriment to Arizona State was they were the hottest team in college football, and then they got a bye. So I just think having that couple weeks off, when you see in the NFL from time to time where it's that rest versus rust situation, and like I said, they were smoking red hot. They were playing really well, and I think that time off is not going to do them any favors. I think Texas is going to big boy Arizona State. They're going to be playing in Georgia. I don't think anybody's going to be traveling from Arizona down to Atlanta to watch this game. I think it's going to be a home game for Texas, and I think they're going to roll for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next game is the Rose Bowl, which is at 4:00 Central Time on New Year's Day. That's Ohio State against Oregon, which is kind of cool because it's kind of is a traditional Rose Bowl matchup, former Pac-10 team, Pac-12 team, and Big Ten team, a rematch of what they played early in the year at Oregon. Now, Ohio State is favored in this one by 2.5 points with a 55-point total.
Yeah.
You like Oregon. It looks like you do. You like them. You like the dog in this one.
Well, to be honest, I would have taken either team that's going to get points. I think I said earlier in the year that I thought Ohio State was going to lose going to Oregon, but I thought that if they played again in the Big Ten championship game or whatever that second game was going to be, I think Ohio State was going to beat them. So I do think Ohio State's going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a one-point game. Yeah, I think it's going to be. If Ohio State was the underdog, I would take Ohio State. I would just take the points in this game just because I think the margins are so thin. And I don't know. Ohio State's. I mean, they look like the best team in the country this past weekend. They look like
they did.
So their defense was, Nico could not do anything. He had about a second. He looked like Caleb Williams, honestly. He had like a second and a half to make any kind of decision. And I just feel like the points are probably where you want to live, but I think Ohio State does win this game.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I just, I do like Lanning as a coach, so I think he'll be prepared. But maybe you're right. Maybe Ohio State finally said, hey, we can actually ball out. We play our best game. We can beat anybody.
Yeah, I guess Oregon looks suspect in the Big Ten championship game against Drew Aller. So they may have a trouble with that Ohio State pass game.
Right. The last game is the Sugar Bowl. That's at 7:45 p.m. Central on New Year's Day. 7 seed Notre Dame against 2 Georgia. Another nice short game that should be competitive. Georgia's a 2-point favorite in this one. It's a very low total of 44, which is, of all the games, this is the one that could be a low-scoring game. Looks like you like Georgia in this one.
I do. I think, you're playing in New Orleans. I think it's going to be a home game for Georgia. I mean, Notre Dame will travel decently well, but, you're playing in Louisiana for Georgia, and everybody keeps talking about the backup quarterback for Georgia. But, when you look at how bad Carson Beck has been playing all year, he's been turning the ball over at, one of the highest rates in college football. So I don't think it can get much worse for Georgia. So I think they're going to steady the ship. Their defense has come to play when their offense has been, sputtering or just average at best. You saw it against Texas, obviously the bad game they had against Alabama, but they could have very easily won that game in the second half as well if they wouldn't have had all the turnovers in the first half. So I think the Georgia defense is the best unit on the field, and that's where I would live and die if I'm going to put my money somewhere.
There you go. Fair to say. And that would, if that holds what you're saying. But you think that you're saying Oregon take the points, but you think Ohio State's going to win the game?
I do. I think Ohio State wins it by 1, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I said, either
they
way.
Would play Texas and then Penn State, Georgia, is what you're thinking. Okay, good. Well, I'm just hoping for better games. Like last week was, as much as I was excited to watch the games, and then after usually about a quarter, I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. Yeah. This is just March Madness is such a great thing, right? Because you get the little guy beating the big guy, and there's a chance. There was no shot, and this is kind of why people didn't want the 12 team in the playoff in the first place. So I'm hoping this week shows that 8 teams, and it's okay to have a bigger one, I don't care, but 8 teams is maybe the right number, and I just want to see better games.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It was if anything, I think the reseeding would help a lot too, because I think Boise State and Arizona State probably should have been playing, and it would have been, maybe a Boise State SMU kind of playoff would have been a little more, maybe, moving the, it maybe not as moving the needle as much, but I think you would have gotten a better game for sure.
Makes sense. All right, let's get into the NFL. Coop, we had week 16 was kind of what it's been for a few weeks now. Save a week or two. The favorites are just crushing it. I'm kind of getting sick of it, actually. It's like,
I know.
They're 12-4 this week. Unders were 9-7. This is like 54, 55% on the year for favorites. So It's just as a contrarian guy, it's just one of those years. I don't know why that is, but it
Yeah.
also means Survivor's like super easy once you get past those first 4 weeks. People are just cruising by. The people were knocked off yesterday, last couple of days because they had to pick people, but there's still an abnormal number of teams around. So let's start off Denver. I did like them in this game, as apparently did everybody. Like 90% of so the books made money there. You like the Chargers? Thank you.
I did pick the Chargers. Yeah.
Good for you. But the Chargers stormed back. It was 21-10, and then that free kick that you alluded to really flipped it. And obviously somebody was like, I think it was my dad. He always texts me during the games. He gets on my nerves, but he's like, well, Herbert's really good. I'm like, yes, Dad, he's awesome. I love him. I'm glad that he's showing what he can do. He made some incredible plays and throws to win this game 34-27. That pretty much gets them in. They got to win one more game, but I think they can do it.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, Wegsy, if this team gets number one wide receiver like a T. Higgins or just any kind of number one wide receiver, this team's going to be really good. This team's going to be very dangerous. You do not want to play them.
No, I agree. And they're a good team, and I think they need a little better defense. But yeah, I mean, they're in year one. This is exactly where they should be, right?
Yeah.
Under Harbaugh.
They don't beat themselves, and that's half the battle.
They don't. Now, Houston, I really expected them to play better in this game. They actually did play pretty good, but the Chiefs, Mahomes, as somebody said, they're inevitable. Some famous co-host said that once. Mahomes, I don't know what he does. It's the second time when he's hurt his ankle in a game. The next week he's just fine. I'm like, what is with this guy? Like cryo treatment? I mean, what is he doing? His ankle was fine. He was running around. He was fine.
Yeah, it's just that December limp that he gets,
Yeah, but the big play here was Tank Dell got an amazing catch, and then he gets laid out by his teammate and blows up his knee. Stroud was distraught, crying on the sideline, and after they actually made a stop on Kansas City the next drive, and I thought that was going to be the turn the tide, and then they just couldn't do it, and they ended up losing the game 27-19. So I'm not feeling great for Houston going forward, but the Chiefs, they're now the favorite on the board for the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't pick them at this point, just because everybody didn't want to pick them last year, and they still doubted. They went three road games and won them all, and then won the Super Bowl. And I don't know how you don't pick them again this year. But I thought the big thing too is they scored that touchdown and they missed the extra point to not tie the game.
I know.
Just a mess. So yeah, I think Houston's really spiraling right now. I think we should put it in the calendar. Maybe take them the first week of the playoffs and bet against them. I think it's one of those teams, just like the winner of the NFC South. I think you can throw them in the same bin.
Right. To your point, actually, I was going to make the point that Xavier Worthy is starting to come really alive. He was so good in that game. Yeah. And him being back with Hollywood Brown is kind of like a lot of speed now that they have that they didn't have for most of the season.
Yeah.
Arizona, I don't know what to say. They had their shots. They were in a dogfight with Carolina. Carolina's been playing really good besides the week before. They finally get the outright win, 36-30 in overtime. I thought Kyler Murray, he made a couple big turnovers that really cost them. And obviously, they may not have made the playoffs anyway, but it eliminated them from playoff contention. And that was a bad follow on that game.
Yeah, no, he's been like the last 4 or 5 weeks this season. He's been very subpar at bat. Average is like the tippy top of what he's been. So, they thought getting Marvin Harrison Jr. would make the difference this year for their offense. James Conner's still really good.
He's been great.
Yeah. But outside of that, I don't know if they need a personnel shakeup or what. So,
Conner did get hurt in this game. He got hurt in the third quarter, and he had like 115 yards in the first 3 quarters of this game and didn't play in the fourth. So it did make a difference down the stretch, I guess.
Yeah.
The Bengals, they took care of business, looked great. DTR, sorry, you're not an NFL quarterback. The Bengals 24-6 in this one. They're still alive. They actually have less chance than Miami, but they still are alive. If they just would have won one other game during the goddamn season,
they would have split with Pittsburgh and Baltimore like they should have. They should have split with those two teams. Like, you got to think of the two thrillers they played against Baltimore, and then I guess they still could split against Pittsburgh, but yeah.
Well, they should have beat the Chiefs, but anyway.
In Washington.
They have their chances, right? And so, but they still are playing. They're probably going to win again this week, and see what happens. Speaking of teams that still have a chance, the Colts as well have a chance. They went out to a big lead. Their offense looked great this week, but they ended up letting the Titans back. They did win the game outright, 38-10. They still have a chance, actually technically a better chance than Miami and Cincinnati. They have 21% chance of making the playoffs, but they're still playing for something. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that game goes.
It's a good call on your Jonathan Taylor take, by the way. He had a monster day. We could have put him in Club Dub. He made up for dropping the ball, and
I told you, dude.
He murdered people in fantasy. R.I.P. if you went up against him in fantasy this week.
Yeah, he was a juggernaut last week, and I knew that he'd come back. I thought the team would, and they did. It kind of worked out for the handicap. It just, should have put more money on that one. Detroit, I know you like them. I was on the Bears. We actually went on the Bears in a contest, which was a colossal fail. I expected the Bears' effort, last night was just a dud of a game. I just expected them to play like that against the Detroit, who has no defense. They did what they do in every game. They're down 21-0. The game's basically over. I mean, lose the game 34-17. Caleb Williams had 300 yards passing. They had like 400 yards of offense, but they couldn't stop Detroit. They were running trick plays, the fake trip. She had the fake stumble.
The fake fumble, yeah.
But anyway, so yeah,
it's
Detroit
a Ben Johnson
covers.
audition. That's what it was. An audition for Ben Johnson.
It was. Well, he's very good.
You heard about Pete Carroll though, eh? Pete Carroll wants to come to Chicago.
I like Pete Carroll. He's 73, bro. What are we doing here? I like him. He's great. I would have liked him before. Like, he's too old, man. I'm sorry to say this. We need a younger guy. Pete has great energy. I want to be him when I'm 73. I'm 51 today. We forgot to wish you a happy birthday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday to you and to Brock Purdy. Yeah,
that's right. Brock and I are going to go out later. I'll show him around. He can give me a Toyota if he wants to. Nice. I don't know why he gave his offensive lineman Toyota this year. He got hit a lot more than last year.
Well, it makes like $900,000 a year,
Anyway, so then Philly, this was not a good spot. We talked about Jaden Daniels, and kind of surprising. Now, we didn't mention, so Jalen Hurts goes out with a concussion this game. They were up 14-0, gets knocked out. Yeah. He's got Kenny Pickett, obviously not as good as Hurts. But what happened to the goddamn defense, man? Like 4 of the last 5 drives, they scored touchdowns. It was just insane. 3 out of the last 4.
What's really crazy is they won the turnover battle 5-1 in this game, and they still found a way to lose. That's what's insane. That was the one thing that blew me away. Like they caused 5 turnovers and still gave up 36 points. That's unheard of, right? I mean, come on, what are we talking about here?
Well, and now they're in a position where they basically, I don't really think they can surpass Detroit if Detroit wins on Monday night.
Yeah,
they're going to be the 2 seed, and it's a lot different going to Detroit than having them come to Philly. So it really kind of, we knew that Sirianni was kind of not a fictitious coach. I just don't think he's a great coach, but this was a letdown. I don't know why they let down against this team.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest winner this past weekend, I think, was Minnesota. I think the biggest winner with that loss was Minnesota, for sure, because Minnesota, they're still hanging around. They could still be the 1 seed, for God's sakes.
I know. It's crazy. San Francisco also laid an egg. I mean, we like them. They actually got all the money by close. They were a 2-point favorite in the game, Coop. So they were like 1-point dog early, then it went to pick, and then all the way down to 2.5 for the San Francisco, and they lose outright 29-17. The Finns played really good. It really is baffling me, too, for San Francisco. Their offense is just not the same this year.
No, I think the wear and tear, the injuries, obviously, and they were eliminated from playoff contention, I think, right at the beginning of this game.
Right.
So maybe that could have gone into a little bit, but yeah, they look suspect. I mean, the injuries have definitely taken their tolls on this team, and they've got a lot of wear and tear on those tires too. They've played a lot of games the last 3 or 4 years.
True. And then we mentioned Tampa, falling on their face. So wasn't a great week, Coop. Let's turn the page. Week 17, although we've already had 3 games in the books. We talked about the Chiefs are inevitable. They go to the Steelers and just destroy them, 29-10.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's essentially locks up the 1 seed. So we're going to Kansas City again. They have to play on the road this year. And I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. Like, they were just playing possum or something the whole season, and now all of a sudden they're starting to play. Like, their offense looks way better. And maybe, again, it's Worthy and Hollywood and people getting – and Pacheco's back, too.
Yeah, well, somebody forgot to tell Pittsburgh to cover Travis Kelce because it felt like every time he was just wide open. Like, he'd just run around and turn around, and nobody would just be standing by him at all. So
the little option route. Woo.
Yeah, just every time he just like there were so many cut ups that I saw from the all 22 that he's just there's nobody within like 5 or 6 yards of this guy, and it's like how in the hell could you just leave him all alone? So, but yeah, no, it's gonna be there's only one man that can go to Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, and I'm telling you right now, if the Bengals make the playoffs, they're the only team I think that can do it. I really do.
I know. It's probably not the Bills. So then the second game, Baltimore and Houston. Again, I really thought Houston would show me something here, but Baltimore when I saw the score, because I didn't get to watch the game, 31-2. I was like,
Yeah,
what? Did they show up?
Baltimore scored all the points in this game, technically, if you think about it, because Derrick Henry literally gave them a safety by taking an inside handoff, trying to go around the tackle, and he got tackled in the end zone. And that was it. That was all she wrote.
That's okay. He had 147 other yards in the game. He was fine. But Baltimore looks great. You don't think Lamar can go into Kansas City and win?
I think with their defense playing as well as I think since they've had the bye, they're giving up 11 points per game. So if they were kind of talking about during the game now that Roquan Smith is kind of running the front seven and Kyle Hamilton is now exclusively in the back end, which they have a first-year defensive coordinator who ironically was a linebacker, I think, for the Ravens and one player played for the Ravens. So he's a first-year D coordinator, so obviously the bye seems to have helped them a lot. I don't know. Maybe that's the only way to beat the Chiefs. They do play the style that I believe that it takes to beat the Chiefs, which is that bully ball in that possession game. So maybe, but I don't know. We'll see.
It's just
Lamar Jackson's
kind of Jason
Tatum, to where
he can't win. He's got to win a big game.
Yeah, they got to prove it.
We kind of briefly mentioned the Seattle Bears game, which was awful last night. The Bears covered, though. Congratulations.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah, right. It was 6-3 as a final. But Dempsey, hopefully you're listening. You put a lot of money on that, and you can still join us in Vegas or something. But Seattle's still alive for the playoffs. But man, that team looks bad. They just went out of gas. And these Thursday night games, this is like the second one in 3 weeks that there've been no touchdowns. It's just abysmal.
Yeah, I think the only Thursday that should be played from now on is Thanksgiving. Other than that, I think we should probably get rid of Thursday night games.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love that. Okay, let's go into the main slate. We've got 3 games on Saturday. First one at noon. The Chargers are at New England. I'm seeing it as a 4.5-point favorite now for the Chargers. In the contest, it's only 4, whether that's solid value or not. And then 42.5-point total. So pretty simple. Your Chargers have to keep winning to make, one more win and they're in. So they're definitely motivated. I do think, I don't know, man. Drake May's played decent. He played good against Buffalo last week. So I think this total's a little low for me. I know I'd probably back the Chargers, but I don't like the number. So stay away on the side, but I like the over 42.5.
Yeah, I like the Chargers here. They've been off since Monday, I think, too. I don't know if you saw the post game locker room with Harbaugh and the fellas after they won, but yeah, he gave everybody until Monday off. So I just think they're rolling right now. The vibes are good, and Harbaugh's got them playing the way that he wants, and I mean Justin Herbert they're playing way too well right now. And to your point, they're motivated. They got to get in. So I would lay the number here. I think I'm with you. I think I would take the over. But I just think you got to take the Chargers here.
Drake May's a backdoor covered machine. That's what he is. But yeah, we'll see. The 4 is, we'll see. Denver at Cincinnati. We just talked about this. Cincinnati's got to win. Denver's got to win. So it's actually a really important game.
Loser leaves
50 points. I'm not going against Burrow right now. I think they're going to win this game, not easily, but they're going to put up some points. I do think Denver's defense has not been as good of late. We saw the Colts had early success last week against the Chargers. So I'd expect Cincinnati to put up some points, and then Denver inevitably will score on this Bengals defense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just big game. I'm taking Joe Burrow every time. I'm going to take he's arguably the MVP if they could win 3 more games this year at any point. So, I mean, it would be real interesting if the Bengals were 10-6 or whatever the case may be, and you'd have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. Like you'd have your pickings of who you could pick for MVP. So no, I'm with you. I think the Bengals are going to roll. They've been playing well. They've won 3 in a row now. They have to keep winning. The last time the Bengals got on a roll this late in the season, they won like 10 or 12 in a row, and they went to the Super Bowl. So
let's hope they do. Somebody picked them to go to the Super Bowl, but lose. Then we've got that game is 3:30 Central. The night game is Arizona at the Rams. Rams are 6.5-point favorites at home, 47.5-point total at 7:10 p.m. Central. I don't love your Rams. I know we've talked about this for weeks. I think they're kind of a under type team, but Arizona just is not getting it done. So I don't like this number for the Rams, but I can understand why you probably back them. And 47.5 seems right about right. So I'd probably go over the total, and then if I had to take a side, I'd do the Rams.
Actually, I would take the Cardinals. I would take the points in this one. I think this interdivisional game.
Yeah.
I think this is probably a 4-point game in the Cooplytics department. I had it as a 4-point
Sure.
game. So
Sure.
Even with Kyler Murray playing very suspect, James Conner. We saw what Saquon Barkley did to the Rams, a couple weeks ago on Sunday Night Football. So they do have a little bit of trouble stopping the run sometimes, and obviously James Conner can get going. Kyler Murray can keep his legs going. I think it's 6.5 is a little too much, but I do like the over in that game as well.
I agree with you 1,000%. I mean, I have the Cardinals as like a 1 or 2 point dog, dude, but I can't back them, man. They've just been letting me down every single week. So I hear what you're saying. That the metrics say it that. Let's see, maybe they'll play good and they'll surprise me, because I don't think the Rams, like even last week against the Jets, they covered the number.
Yeah.
But the Jets kind of blew it. I think they stalled out 4 or 5 times in Rams territory. Should have been a cover in that one for sure.
The Cardinals defense has been really bad lately too. They were quote unquote frisky there in the beginning of the season, like halfway through October and maybe a little bit in November, but they've kind of just completely shit the bed lately.
They have. All right, for the Sunday games, the noon slate, you've got the Jets at the Bills. The Bills are down to a 10-point favorite in the market. It's 11 in the contest, and then 46-point total. I don't know, man. The Bills don't really have much to play for here. This is the thing. I don't like Aaron Rodgers, but he's played better. 11's too many points. I can't. The Bills' defense isn't very good. Now, granted, see who's playing. They said Rodgers may not play, but I think he did practice yesterday. So, but I would take Jets plus 11. It's not a contest pick, but on that side instead of the Bills.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's just too many points. Aaron Rodgers actually seems to be a little motivated. Maybe he is getting healthier. Maybe he is getting actually healthier as the season has gone on. I'm with you. I think I don't know if they're auditioning for their jobs for next year but they have been playing more spirited. That's probably the right word for that. So, but yeah, I'm with you. Buffalo seems a little one-dimensional at the moment, where if Josh Allen is not doing it all by himself, that it's basically him and James Cook. You know what I mean? Like they haven't really had anything outside of that. So we'll see.
It was a good example. I mean, and it hurt his MVP chances too, even though he's still been awesome, but he didn't have a great game last week and had a couple turnovers. So we'll see what happens. Indy is at the Giants. This is a must win for the Colts. They're 7.5 points in the market, 8 points in the contest, 40.5-point total. God damn it. It's Indy. They got to win the game, but you're going to lay that many points with Anthony Richardson on the road? I can't do it, man.
Yeah, the Giants are really bad at home, though. That's my only.
They're bad everywhere.
Well, I'm just, they're even more especially bad at home. That's the only caveat I would say. And plus, the Colts defensive line is really good. Like that's the other caveat that I've kind of drawn up in this game as far as the Cooplytics side of it. So
right.
If I had to take a team, I guess I would lay the 8 just because the rushing attack. I mean, the Colts running attack has been really good the last 3 weeks. They ran all over Denver, and obviously they ran all over the Titans last week. So
yeah, that's a good defense. Yeah.
I guess I would lay it, but I would love to see the alternate universe of when the Colts actually beat the Broncos, what the season actually looks like right now.
I know. So
that's what would be really crazy, because the Bengals would be a little bit more into the discussion if that were the case. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, this is definitely do we dare call this a snooze fest?
It's a snooze fest. I mean, it's like ho-hum, they're going to win 17-10, or they're going to win whatever, 24-10. It's going to be one of those games I don't care about. It should be on the 10th screen in the bar for the Colts fans. What about Tennessee at Jacksonville? That's a nice humdinger of a game. The Jags are a 1-point favorite in the marketplace, but they're a pick in the contest. 39.5-point total. The Jags defense continues to amaze how bad they are. the Tennessee just doesn't play inspired football. Like last week was a good example. They had a chance to knock out a playoff team, and they played good late in the game, but they were getting housed early. So this is a total I don't give a shit about this game. It's not even a scary game. It's a don't care game. So I guess it would be Tennessee or pass because God, how can you have the Jags laying any points? But goddamn, no thanks.
Yeah, right after Christmas, you got to go with Rudolph, right? I mean, that seems to be the play here.
Yeah, Mason.
So, yeah, that's I would go Mason Rudolph over Mac Jones, but yeah. I mean, do you take the over in this game? I think that's the only thing that you really do. 39.5 seems like a really low number. Yeah, I mean, because Tennessee just came off scoring 30, so.
And the Jags defense. I mean, although the Raiders didn't score a lot of points against them last week, but yeah, it seems like a low total for sure. Raiders at Saints, another really important game on the schedule.
For the draft purposes, it is. Yeah.
The Raiders are a 1-point favorite at 38-point total in this one. I'm not going to hit you with some knowledge here, but a little bit weird here. I don't think Kamara's going to play. I heard Chris Olave is going to play in this game, dude. I don't know why, but why he would risk his 18th concussion on the season. But God, the Raiders stink. These teams are horrible. I don't even understand what's going on. So I guess you have the Raiders win this game, but this is one of these games like almost every year. You've got almost every game has some ramifications for something. The last two games with Tennessee and Jacksonville and the Raiders and Saints, nobody cares. So I guess you pick the team that has a better motivating coach, and that's the Raiders.
Yeah, I guess. But the Raiders really screwed themselves last week by winning. Honestly, they definitely should not have. They should have been tanking the whole time. So
of course they should.
I think now that they're full on, they're willing to screw everything up. So I think in true Raiders fashion, they're going to win this game too. They're going to,
of course,
if it was a 24 game season, the Raiders would still be alive. That's what their fans tell us. So yeah, now I'd probably go Raiders here. I mean, Spencer Rattler did not look very good. Even with Chris Olave coming back, I just don't see how they're going to move the football. They can't do anything.
Yeah, no, I get it.
They're 0-6 without Derek Carr this season, which is just
garbage. I know that's really sad to say because Carr stinks, but
yeah.
And Taysom Hill, I mean, without him on it, they can't score any points. So I hear you. Raiders are passed. I told you, the stinky game. One game that does matter is Carolina going to the Bucs. The Bucs are 8-point favorites at home, 48-point total. Does Carolina keep playing good? I mean, I love Tampa early in this week. But all my sharp guys on the podcast are all over Carolina, and I was a Carolina guy 2 weeks ago. They screwed me, so now I'm like, do I do that against my Bucs? I need them to win this football game, but 8 points. Bryce Young is playing really good, so I guess I should flip that. Carolina plus the 8 makes sense to me.
I smell a rat, Wegsy. I really do. I smell a rat. I think this is Bucs all the way. I think this is going to be an utter domination. Yeah, I think this is going to be just an ass kicking because I think Tampa's going to be very upset. They're going to be, I don't think you're going to find a more motivated team this week than the Buccaneers because they obviously need this game, and Atlanta's going to be in a big game this weekend too, which I'm sure we'll get to. But yeah, I just think you hammer Tampa. You shut your eyes, you plug your nose, and you take Tampa.
Okay, I'll stick. I mean, I had -8. I'll believe you, but it's my 6th pick. I got to come with 5 this week.
Yeah.
How about Dallas at Philly? This game's been interesting. So a couple things have happened in this game. First of all, the contest line is 9.5 for Philadelphia at home, which I was all over Dallas at the 9.5. The total's down to 39. The market's now to 7 for Philly. Hurts probably isn't going to play. That's the biggest mover of this. But now CeeDee Lamb's not going to play. So now Dowell has been running the football. He's running the hell out of the ball, as I've told you before. So I don't know if 7 is enough for me to take Dallas still, but in the contest, I think you have to take 9.5 in that contest pick. So still on the contest. I'm not sure if I can back it at 7. I'm hoping to get to 7.5. But I think with the CeeDee Lamb, it might actually go up. So if you like Dallas, wait a little bit longer. If you like Philly, grab it now.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing in this game is, I mean, without Jalen Hurts, how much does that affect the run game of Saquon? Just because, when Jalen's in there, you got to account for both of them, right? A little bit. So with Kenny Pickett in there, you really don't have to account for him. I mean, obviously, he's the reason they have a fake slide rule. So maybe I should backtrack that a little bit. But No, I don't know. I've been struggling with this because I could just see the offensive line of Philly taking over and just kind of controlling the game.
Right.
They really want to get Saquon at least within earshot of that rushing record of ED's like 40-year-old record or something like that. So
Yeah.
I think they are motivated in that regard. And I can't see Cooper Rush going into Philly and winning a football game. I just can't.
I can't either for sure. But can they cover the game?
Yeah.
But again, 7's not bad. 7's a good number for Philly.
Yeah.
When it was 9.5, 10, I was like, this is ridiculous. Dallas is playing better.
Yeah, I think this is the Jake Ferguson game, though. I think that's if you're gonna player prop to get in on, I think you get on Jake Ferguson. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Now we go to the late window. The team you're out on is Miami, but they are 6.5-point favorites at Cleveland, 39-point total at 3:05 Central. So I mean, Miami's going to win this football game. It's just by how much. They're going to beat Cleveland. Cleveland with DTR, they stink.
No.
They stink. No,
they're going to lose this game, Legsy. They're going to the cold. Do you not, Wegsy? Death, taxes, and cold weather.
I understand this. You think they're going to lose the game?
I do. I really do. Yeah, they're going to build all the momentum, and then they're just going to let us all down again. That's literally what's going to happen. I've seen this movie way too many times.
I see it. Cleveland plus 6.5 for your picks. That's great. I mean, I understand the spread. You really think it'll win the game. So this is a money line winner here.
Yeah, I think this might be the 401k pick of the week. Yeah.
Wow. On the money line or the plus 6.5?
Either one. If you feel
wow, that's not either one. The money line's big. I got to look it up now. You're throwing, monkey in the wrench here.
And Miami has never done well against mobile quarterbacks. So even if they start DTR, which DTR actually started to use his legs a little bit more in the second half against the Bengals, and it really did help their offense.
Yeah.
And I could just see. I don't think this is going to be a very high scoring game. This is going to be like a 17-13 game.
It's supposed to be sloppy.
Yeah, it's in the cold. Like, no thanks. I'm not doing it.
Plus 235. You can double your 401k and then some.
Yeah. I think that's the way to go. I think Cleveland's the side here. I really do. Myles Garrett is going to probably kill Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, you might see a murder on the field. You never know.
He's literally going to murder him. Well,
he might.
I wouldn't want to see that. But let's get to the next game. I'm sorry, I hit a nerve there. I wasn't even thinking about that game.
I just can't believe you're going to take the Dolphins in cold weather. I mean, if this game were in Miami,
I know what you mean. I understand what you mean by the spread. I just didn't think they'd lose the game, but. Hey, you know better. How about Green Bay at Minnesota? The contest has the game at Minnesota -1. The total is 48.5. The market is now at 0.5 point for Minnesota. I've seen it down to a pick. I did see that Christian Watson has been injured, so he may or may not play. That guy is like super athletic dude that gets hurt every 5 seconds. And it does make a big difference, but I still love the Pack. I love the Pack. A Pack guy. So I would take the Pack to win this game outright.
Yeah, I heard you're packing. That's what I've been hearing.
Look, the only thing I will say against the Pack here, they have no motivation here. They are not going to improve their seeding necessarily, and they definitely can't win the division. So I can understand why they lose this game. Minnesota would set up the big game against Detroit. So that is a good argument for Minnesota. I'm sure Action's going to try to talk me off the ledge with Green Bay, but we've seen Green Bay play really good lately, and so maybe I'm just a homer figuring it out.
They are now a power run team now as well with Josh Jacobs, and I think that is going to make the difference for them down the stretch. And I think that's what really makes this team a scary team in the playoffs. Because last year it was more about the speed and kind of spreading the field out, but they can win a multitude of ways now, which. I don't know. I don't know if I trust. I do trust Sam Darnold. I just don't know if I trust him as the pressure starts to mount. Like, what Sam Darnold are you going to get? Is what I would be worried about.
Right. Okay, but you still like Green Bay.
I do like Green Bay. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm packing this week, and I think they're going. Yeah, I think they're going to go in and make a statement. And plus, they haven't beaten that's kind of been their bugaboo, right? Is their 4 losses are to these top 3 teams by 10 points or something like that. So. I think they have to prove to us that they can win a big game.
Okay. Well, the Sunday night football game is Atlanta at Washington. Atlanta is a 4-point dog in this one, 47.5-point total. They got to win this football game. We all know we talked about the Tampa thing. They got to win the football game. Washington, I'm not saying they're solidified, but they pretty much, they're basically in, right? So I can understand why Washington would maybe not cover this number. I kind of feel Atlanta's going to get in the back door one way or another. They're fighting for the playoff lives. So that's why I'm siding with Atlanta, even though Jaden Daniels is my homeboy.
Yeah, and I keep going back and forth in this game, but I just think the biggest differentiator is going to be the Atlanta pass rush and the lack of it. I think if you give Jaden Daniels enough time, I think he'll just sit back there and kill you. I mean, he's shown that a couple different times this season that if you don't pressure him or if you don't get him off the spot, even if you do pressure him, he can use his legs and extend plays really well. So I just think Washington's the play here. I just think Atlanta's going to find a way to piss this away. I really do. That's been their MO for the last few years now, ever since they had that Super Bowl collapse. And I just think you're going to find a way to rear its ugly head again.
Well, the big thing too is that, and talking against my pick here, is that Penix, this is his actual first NFL game. The Giants game, you know what I mean? This is a road game, prime
outside.
time. It's not a good spot for him. There's no question. It's the motivational spot. So what's stronger, the motivational spot or that Penix is playing his outdoor game on Monday Night Football? So we'll see. I still like them.
Love the under in that game, by the way. 47.5, I think, is way too many. Yeah. I think it's more like a 40-point game.
Final game Monday night, Detroit at San Francisco. Detroit is now just 3.5 points in the market, but the contest line is 4, 15.5 point total. San Francisco is underwhelmed, across the board here. So 3.5 seems like a really good number. I'm not sure why people are buying in San Francisco. Maybe I missed some news, but I would definitely go with the 3.5. I guess 4 is about the same for Detroit, so I can see why you like that game.
Yeah, I think it's a revenge factor too. I mean, this was the game that cost them the Super Bowl last year, so they're motivated, obviously, and to our to play the fourth wall game. Like if the Packers do beat the Vikings, then the Lions win this game, they lock up the 1 seed. So I think from that factor, I think that really helps them just playing on that next day. They'll know exactly what's in front of them. And yeah, I mean, even with all the injuries, this team is still playing really well. They're still playing inspired. So yeah, I think Detroit's the side here. I think San Fran's packing it up and going home, and they're going to lick their wounds and get ready for next year.
They are. Talk about trading Shanahan to the Bears. That's what you said.
I was going to say the streak is still alive to where literally it's either NFC Championship game or not make the playoffs for the Niners. It's been like 8 straight years that's happened now, or like 6 straight years. So if they make the playoffs, they make the NFC title game, or they don't make the playoffs at all under Kyle Shanahan.
That's just weird. It's like all or nothing.
Yeah, that's literally it's just wild.
All right, well, let's go into our picks for the week. I do like Green Bay in a contest plus the 1. I already had Seattle. They lost. Cincinnati minus the 3. I do like Dallas plus 9.5. And I will stick with Atlanta plus the 4 and Tampa minus the 8 since you talked me back into it.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully you don't let action talk you out of that. That's been like your bugaboo this year is you guys keep talking each other out of good picks,
What are you going to do?
But no, I'm with you. I'm packing this week. We're going with the Packers at plus 1. I'm going to take Cleveland plus 6.5. I'm going to take Detroit minus 4. I'm taking Tennessee with the pick. And then I'm going to take Washington minus the 4 as well.
There you go. There you go. Well, hey, we actually had some knockouts this week, Coop. It was tough, not too many, but there's only 34 people left in the contest now. So what happened was there was only 5 knockouts on Sunday, but then you had to pick amongst the 3 games, 2 on Christmas and 1 yesterday. So we did 6 people pick the Bears, probably because they had to.
Right.
Steelers and Texans. So we had 11 knockouts in the last 2 days. There's 34 left for the final 2 weeks of the season, which is, obviously Saturday, Sunday, and then the following week. So we may actually get this down to a reasonable number, except that it may not. So it doesn't matter to us, but it's kind of an interesting phenomenon when I start looking at what I did preseason, like how do I make these picks and so on. Dude, after the first 4 weeks, I've been undefeated. Like it's insane. You just got to get out of those first 4 weeks. So just something to keep in mind for next year. And unfortunately, Side Action had an atrocious week last week. We went back to the shitty well, and we went 1-4, and so we had no chance to cash, which is okay. It is what it is. But it's still kind of one of those years. It's the top guys around 70%, 71%, and to cash, to get in the money, you need about 62% right now. So it's totally doable in a given year. This year's been a rough one.
especially with all the favorites hitting, I can only imagine how that makes things even tougher because you're just like, okay, we're going to keep riding with favorites and keep riding with favorites. And eventually you're like, okay, there's no way the favorites are going to keep riding. And
I know.
here they are,
I know.
you know?
Well, in my contest, like the home league with Donnan, I don't know if you ever met Donnan, but like the guy who's winning, I'm kind of laughing. I mean, he had a good year last year, but it's like the dude's at 57%. Like that's just like a world-class number. And
Yeah.
I've been on top for 3 years. I'm at the bottom. I'm like 48%. It's because I'm like, it's going to regress. It is not regressing. You know, if I just took favorites the whole year, I'd have been at 56% right in the money. But yeah, that's part of the up.
Sounds like
ebbs and
next
flows.
year's our year then is what you're telling me. It sounds like next year is the year. Like look at all the dogs. Yeah. It's got to come back the other way, right?
It has to. It has to. All right. So what do you got going this week? What's happening this weekend and next? And obviously we got the New Year's coming up.
As I say, we got New Year's coming up. We have one last Christmas dinner tomorrow. So with Linnea's parents, so that should be a good time. But yeah, other than that, it's football Sunday, and then Brandon will be here for New Year's. I think he gets in on Monday, so that'll be a nice little time for that. And I mean, you got any New Year's resolutions, Wegsy?
How about try to get out of debt a little bit? That would be great because it's been a lean Christmas. But I'm going to try to buy a condo this year. I don't know if I can pull this off, but I've got to pay down debt and buy a condo, which seems like counterintuitive, like putting more debt on. But it's a different type of debt, right?
Yeah. Condo here in the city, or like, are you talking about a destination condo?
Oh boy, yeah. I'll keep my apartment here and have a destination condo I'm going to go to once a year. I'm going to do a condo in the city, dude. Come on, man.
Okay.
You know, just
yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to get the view that I wanted. You know, those places over there have the big assessments, but just something in the hood here, just something nice and
a little less ambulance traffic.
Yeah, well, it would be better not to be right on Ridge. That's true, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, it was funny when I came back from Hawaii and it was like, oh man, it is loud as hell here. That's what it is. So today with the birthday, I got to go see a movie called A Fire Inside. It's like a boxing movie, female boxing movie who's like true story. And we're going to go to a place called Russian Tea Time. I've never heard of that place, but it's really good. You should take Linnea there if you guys like Eastern European food. But it's upscale. It's nice. They got vodka flights, and you can do caviar if you want. But they have a tea service in the afternoon. We're going to do the dinner. Awesome food like potato pancakes, stuff like that. It's good stuff for the party winter. And then maybe going out tomorrow night. And if you guys aren't busy, I haven't put anything together. But people keep asking, "You going out for your birthday?" I'm like, well. Are you inviting me out for the birthday? Yes, I will go. Pay my drinks, but I'll probably watch games tomorrow. I'm playing volleyball tomorrow, and then I hope the girls aren't listening. I have a couple of dates on Sunday, so I'm doing two. I'm doubling up. I know. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? It's that time of year, right?
Ice skating during the afternoon and dinner at night. This is Jimmy Wegs is back, maybe. That's New Year's resolution. Find a nice lady at some point. Yeah. Maybe that's like the third one. Did
you get the skates out? Did you? You're getting the skates out.
They're in the. I should have sharpened them, but they're in the closet. Yeah, I found them. Yeah.
I keep talking about buying a pair of skates and learning how to skate. And I've yet to pull the trigger on buying extra skates. I know. I want to. I want to get into like the beer league hockey. I keep seeing all that stuff, especially around here in the city. I feel like it'd be such a fun time. And and maybe that's my New Year's resolution, Legs, is to buy those ice skates and figure it the hell out, and then get in there.
Well, you guys. So you're in Westtown now.
Like Ukrainian Village area. Yeah.
Is there a rink at like Humboldt? There's a rink down that way, right?
I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you.
Because there's up by us where we used to live, up at Warren Park. There's an awesome rink. If you get your own skates, it's free. You just go.
Yeah.
If you want to go to Millennium, we're gonna do the skate ribbon. It's $5 for me. It's $20 for her. She has to rent the skates, right? So it's definitely worth getting your skates. I think if you end up skating twice a year, it's worth it because I'm assuming your feet aren't going to get bigger. You can have them for a really long time. Just get some hockey skates and go to town, man. Do you know how to skate or no?
I've skated on rentals, but I've been told that the skating on rentals and skating on your own skates are two totally different experiences from what I've been told.
They never sharpen those rentals. I mean,
so I can only imagine. Yeah, I was gonna say, but I assume it's very hit or miss. I see a lot of the social media things comparing skates because I think my phone is obviously listening to me when I talk about it. So, but I just we'll see. Well, I think we're gonna pull the trigger. We got to figure that out.
I think you should. You have plenty of time. The rinks are open till the end of February. You get 2 months in. And then
Nice.
next year, you can also skate whenever. There's indoor rinks in Thetford, which isn't far from you.
Yeah.
There's a couple indoor rinks. It's something to do. I used to skate a lot more when I was younger. When I was, that was me and the ex. We used to always skate together. But
I
like,
figured,
it's such good exercise too, man.
yeah. I figured if I'm gonna get into the hockey world too, it'd be real easy to make. It's gonna be easier to make
Of course,
content if I know how to skate. I mean, I can
right?
hold the camera a little better and stuff like that. So,
Exactly. You got to do remember the Jay Billis, he does that, 88 feet where he's like talking, he's doing an interview.
oh
He's
yeah,
walking down the court with the guy.
yeah.
Whatever I don't know how long the
It's
hockey rink
200
is. Like
feet. It's 80 by
200 feet.
200. Yeah.
You just do the 200-foot interview and you just kind of skate with some guy interviewing the hockey guy down the
Oh,
other end. You just,
oh my
thanks, Jay
gosh.
Billis, for your way. You're welcome. You're welcome for the idea.
Right. There it is, man.
All right, well, follow us at Side Action Pod on X and Side Action Podcast on Instagram. Don't forget about TikTok. And
Yeah.
follow me at Wegspool on X and on Instagram.
And I'm Coop. You can check me on Instagram at Dalton Cooper, on X at Mr. Grumpy Gills. Again, we got to give a special birthday shout out to Brock Purdy himself and Jim Wegs. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
and to Jim Wegs, happy birthday. What you're 30 what? 33 now, right?
Yeah, 33 plus 18.
Nice. Okay. So
51, dude. 51. Look at that baby face.
man.
Losing some hair, but I'm still holding strong. I'm doing what I gotta do.
So, but we are the Side Action Pod. Check us on all the socials. Make sure, again, you got to check TikTok. Try to comment. Make sure we get rid of some of those, bots. I guess. Yeah.
I don't want to see the Russian characters. I want to see English or Spanish. Está bien. Envíame algo. Un mensaje.
Feliz Navidad, right? Yeah, it's that time of year.
Feliz Navidad. All right, everybody. Take care.
Love you guys.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Side Action Podcast. We appreciate all of your listens and thank you for joining us. We'll see you all again next week on Thursday for some more hot picks and side action. Side Action Podcast, its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the show hosts or their guests. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of this podcast, and opinions between talk show hosts may conflict. Individuals following the advice given on the podcast accept their own risk of losses from wagers made, as the Side Action Podcast, its owners, hosts, associates, or guests will not guarantee any advice given. The opinions and advice given on the Side Action Podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Intro and outro and transition music credits. Song titles Jerry 5 and District 4 by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.org. Licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0. creativecommons.org/licenses/by 3.0.